So kia ora, salamat datang from Malaysia, or at least my living room in Malaysia. And I've been given the task this evening to introduce Flipgrid, okay, which has joined the Microsoft family. I've been a Microsoft educator now since 2017. Or I'll better introduce myself as well. Kia ora, I'm Michael Harvey, Microsoft educator, Flipgrid ambassador. Okay, so what's Flipgrid? Well, I'm just going to give you tonight a basic overview of what Flipgrid is. Okay, so you have a flavor, and any further questions you can bang on the yammer, and I can hopefully answer them. And if not, then I can ask the team in the States to assist. Okay, so basically Flipgrid is all about student voice. So the mission of Flipgrid is to empower learners of all ages to define their voices, share their voices, and respect the diverse voices of others. So pretty much all about communication and voice. Okay? And it's up to you as awesome educators to allow that student voice to be heard. So thanking you. So Flipgrid, hopefully, is a very simple system. Okay, and it can work on a multitude of platforms, so Chromebooks, Surfaces, phones, iPads, whole range. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the basics tonight on how to use it and some of the words that we use in Flipgrid. So I'm going to do it step by step. So the first thing you have to do is do something called create a grid. Okay, so the grid basically is I do it by saying, well, the grid is the subject, say year 10 chemistry, and then we add subtopics, but we'll go into that later. So the first thing you have to do is create a grid. So the grid is for your students, or it can also be personal learning communities. So it's great for the community of learning. Okay, so you can have discussions amongst teachers from different schools, and also between parents and yourself if you want to go that way. So what I did also is to create little grids to introduce myself to students' parents before parent-teachers conference, so they actually kind of met me beforehand. Okay, and a recent adaptation for Flipgrid is that you can control the access of the grid here. Okay, so you can use password protection. Okay, so for child safety, that's important. So only your students or your professional learning group can actually access the grid. And once you've got into the grid, you can personalize it with custom pictures, a title unique to your classroom or your group, a purpose, and also given a flipcode grid, which allows others to join your grid once they have the password, which you can also provide. Okay, so that's the grid. That's the first layer. Okay, so inside the grid, we have something called topics. Okay, so I use the topics basically to ask questions for prep. Okay, so kind of a preparation for the next lesson, kind of flipping the learning. So you can add discussion questions, themes, or challenges for your grid community. So here's some examples here. We have risks at reef, on the reef. So you can add videos for the students to discuss, either from Vimeo or YouTube. Okay, so I quite like adding short little 5-minute videos for the students to discuss before coming to class. And the advantage too is that you can moderate the videos. So if any silly comments are made before it goes live, you can see the silly comments and you don't actually post them. The advantage of using the topic is that you can use a large range of media. You can use your YouTube, you can use Google Photos, you can use emojis, Instagram, and new additions, you can add other files or websites. Okay, so you can add your OneNote pages if you want, you can add Excel spreadsheets, you can put in Word documents, a whole range of different documents to enhance that particular topic, to let the students, provide students with enough material so they can answer the question before the lesson actually begins. That's one approach, if it's the Flipgrid approach. Other things you can do if it's a professional learning community, asking questions of the PLC by, say, looking at a research paper and maybe discussing it. Again, you can add it on Word, or you can add it as a YouTube clip, or also use the Google even though we are the Microsoft community here. You can also use Google Forms to add it as well. Okay, so topics are the next kind of subheading after you've gone and made your grid. Okay, step 3, the students can share. Okay, so students can respond to topics through short videos that are shared within that little community. Okay, you can do many things with the videos. Okay, you can set the student video response length. Okay, so if you want kind of a longer answer, you can set it for 5 minutes. If you want a short kind of cutting kind of response, you can set it to 1.5 minutes. The advantage, of course, is that students can take unlimited retakes and can pause and flip the camera. Okay, so they can reflect on the question, then maybe re-record it, so you don't have to do just a one shot. Extra things have been added in recent weeks to kind of improve the performance of Flipgrid, which I won't go into detail here with, but it's pretty much around how the students are actually sharing. Okay, so they can, how they are adjusting the video that they're creating. The students can also personalize their grid images with stickers and drawings, which is the last step. And you can add attachments as well. So not only can they have a video response, they could possibly add a OneNote addition to that, or a Word document, or an image, which kind of reinforces what they've just spoken to camera about. In terms of students who are a bit camera shy, that's not a problem. Okay, they can just either cover themselves with stickers, or they can just do blackout. Okay, just have voiceover. But it's a way that we're now introducing student voice into the conversation in the classroom. Okay, step 4, we also have, this is where the magic happens, I think, the learning community. Okay, so not only can you provide feedback on what the students are saying, or what your fellow colleagues are saying, if it's a professional learning community, you can also correspond between each other. Okay, so students can provide feedback to other students to improve their answers, saying, oh, I think you got this point well, but I think maybe this point you missed out, so to improve your answer, maybe you should do this. Okay, so the entire classroom is basically communicating online to try and improve their responses. Okay, so one thing I do is a very iterative process. So basically they post a video about a topic they're about to learn, and other students can comment about that point that they've made. Everyone's kind of working on the prior knowledge to try and have a deeper understanding before we even teach the topic. Okay, and therefore they can reply back, kind of change their answers to illustrate that they've enhanced their learning, or maybe change their answers after we've discussed it in class. Okay, so it shows how their understanding of a topic is progressing over time. Okay, so how do you use Flipgrid? Well, there's a whole range of different options here. So from pre-K8, okay, so that's kind of intermediate level for New Zealand. I've pinched American slides. And primary, so you can use it for class intros. Okay, great for ice breaking. Book talks, okay, Gerhard Mudijk, for example, in St. Peter's in Auckland, is using it in his middle school class, where he's connecting with other schools globally and nationally, where they're reading a book and sharing their experiences around that book. Goal setting, parent involvement, so parent-teacher engagement. So you could basically, you set up a QR code for a particular topic, and that topic's about you, and then the students can then give it to their parents, and they can basically, this is my teacher, this is something, an introduction to the teacher, or it's a way to showcase student learning. Okay, so you have a QR code linked to their responses, then the parents can see the responses, you can see, oh, this is what my child is doing in class. Virtual field trips are a possibility, global connections, which I won't go into detail today with, but there's a concept called Grid Pals, and if you're interested in global connections, then just send me a message and I can discuss that with you. Okay, end of year memories and places to travel. So again, the thing I'm looking to discuss there, it would be Grid Pals, which is about kind of international connections or even local connections. Okay, so if you're interested in connecting with other schools around the world, then just drop me a message on the Yammer. Okay, so that's pre-K 8, primary and middle school and intermediate. High school, again, you've got class introductions, content check-ins, so making sure the kids actually understand the concept you've just taught. So for example, the Doppler effect I've just taught. So I just pose a question, add a website to it, and the students watch the video, think about what they've done in class, read the website, and then answer a simple question where I'm testing their understanding of the topic of the Doppler effect, and other kids can come in and also refine the answers through collaborative learning. Project-based reflections, student auditions, interviews and reenactment skits. Okay, a whole range of possibilities. University, we're not really into university here as much, but again, weekly check-ins, university centres, course feedback, things like that. And also for communities of learning, the concepts behind staff and PLC, professional learning communities. So again, PTCs, parent-teacher conferences, video voicemail. At conferences, it's a good way to provide feedback if you're given a talk. Global engagement again, so Grid Pals again. Bronwyn in Australia, a great connection in Global Connections. She just started the Hope program recently, which I've been involved in, where we connect on Flipgrid, and we're basically discussing our hopes for the new academic year. Of course, she's in Australia, so it's halfway through the academic year. For me, it's the start of the academic year, but basically hopes for the students, hopes for the parents, hopes for the world. Okay, so general theme of hope. Asynchronous kind of Skypey kind of things, virtual science fairs and conferences. Okay, so a whole range of possibilities for professional learner communities as well. So another important thing, if you're a bit stuck of how you could start with Flipgrid, is the Discovery Library. Okay, so Discovery Library is basically where teachers globally have put resources or Flipgrid topics already on Flipgrid for a whole range of things, and you can therefore just copy them and amend them for your own liking. So here's some examples here, Hour of Code, for example, how we fail and how do we succeed, how we can use Flipgrid if you're using it for PLC. Okay, so a whole range of possibilities from a whole range of different topics. So it's called the Discovery Library, and it's on flipgrid.com. Okay, so everything's better together. So you can actually embed Flipgrid with Canvas and Teams and OneNote and in Sways, okay, for the Microsoft there. Okay, Chromebooks, iPads, all browsers are useful to use it in. I recommend Chrome. I've had trouble a little bit with Internet Explorer, so Chrome is probably the best to use. And Flipgrid's got you covered, basically. It's available as an app on both the Apple App Store and on the Google Play Store. Okay, so I suggest you download that and start playing with it. Okay. And there's a whole range of assistance, okay, on using Flipgrid. You've got the at Flipgrid community. We've got the resources at flipgrid.com for webinars, how to use integration docs, etc. Lots of mini webinars from the US team on how to use Flipgrid more effectively. You've got the blog on Flipgrid, which is being used more and more on recent updates. So for example, we've just had the idea of mixtapes, which I won't go into detail today with, but it's a latest thing they've been looking at. That's on the blog, okay, and help.flipgrid.com. Lots of educator created, so teachers have created these resources to help you assist with your journey in using Flipgrid. And you can also become certified as a level 1, 2, or 3 educator by doing certain tasks on the Flipgrid. Okay, so if you need any assistance or advice on that, again, just drop me a line at Dr. Harves, or in the Yammer community, and I am more than willing to help. And the final slide, you can sign up, of course, to flipgrid.com, and it only takes a couple of minutes. So just go to the website and you can log on there. So that's pretty much a short and sweet tour of Flipgrid. There's a lot more involved in the system now with the new add-ins. It's been very useful for me to provide feedback for my teaching, and also drive my own PLN, Professional Learning Network. In fact, I would suggest New Zealand MIE, maybe we should have our own PLN, where we're just kind of dropping questions in there in terms of questions and answers around Flipgrid, okay? And that way we can kind of collaborate online, not just face-to-face, but virtually face-to-face, because we're all in different parts of New Zealand, or hey, look at me, in different parts of the world. So maybe I could set that up if anybody's keen. Just ask and I'll give it a go, and I can put it on the Yammer community. And that's about it from me and Flipgrid. So as I've said, if you have any questions, just drop me a line either at my Twitter account, which will be, I'll just put it there, at Dr_Halves, or on the Yammer community, and I am more than willing to answer any questions that you may have about Flipgrids. So, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk, and ka kite anō.